Lisa's fingers danced across the holographic display, her eyes reflecting the amber glow of thousands of data streams. The neural interface hummed against her temple as she processed information at speeds that would have killed a baseline human. But there were no baseline humans anymore, not after 3 centuries of exile in the Kepler wastes. "Contact in 47 minutes, she announced, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "The Dominion fleet is holding position at the heliopause, exactly where our models predicted." Alex stood at the observation deck, his augmented eyes tracking the distant specks of light that represented the largest armada the Galactic Dominion had ever assembled. 2,000 warships, each capable of glassing a planet, had come to finish what they'd started 300 years ago. Back then, humanity had been cattle, a primitive species marked for controlled evolution under Dominion oversight. The genetic modifications they demanded would have made humans docile, compliant, perfect slaves for their empire. Earth had refused. The price had been banishment. "They're afraid," Alex said, his voice carrying the artificial harmonics of his vocal enhancement. "Look at their formation. They're treating us like a peer threat." "We're not their peers," Lisa replied, pulling up tactical projections. "We're their nightmare." She wasn't wrong. When the Dominion had exiled humanity to the Kepler wastes, a region of space so resource-poor and radiation-blasted that no species had ever successfully colonized it, they'd expected extinction within a generation. Instead, they'd given humanity exactly what it needed: freedom from oversight and an environment that demanded evolution or death. Humanity had chosen evolution, but not the Dominion's version. Alex turned from the viewport, his form moving with the efficient grace of someone whose nervous system had been rebuilt from the quantum level up. "Command wants your assessment on their quantum shielding." Lisa closed her eyes, interfacing directly with the sensor network that surrounded their ringworld. The Bastion, humanity called it, a megastructure built from the carcasses of dead stars, powered by contained black holes, home to 90 billion post-humans who had become something the galaxy had never seen. "Their shields are impressive," she said, parsing terabytes of data in seconds. "7th-generation quantum entanglement matrices, probably stolen from the Arkan Concordat. They can phase shift to avoid kinetic impacts and disperse energy weapons across dimensional folds." "Can we break them?" "We don't need to." A smile played at the corner of Lisa's lips. "We invented quantum shielding. The Dominion has been reverse engineering our old colony shipwrecks for centuries. They're using our own technology against us, but they don't understand the fundamental principle we built it on." Alex raised an eyebrow, one of the few purely human gestures he still made, which is, "Every quantum system has a consciousness component. They think it's just physics, but we know better. We learned that in the first 50 years out here when we had to rebuild our entire technology base from scratch." She pulled up a schematic, highlighting the resonance patterns in the Dominion shield network. "Their shields are thinking, and thought can be hacked." It had been humanity's greatest discovery in exile. Desperate for resources, early colonists had experimented with technologies the Dominion had forbidden: neural enhancement, quantum consciousness, artificial evolution through CRISPR-17 and its successors. What they'd found was that at the quantum level, the universe itself was participatory. Consciousness wasn't an emergent property of matter, it was fundamental. And humans, it turned out, were very good at consciousness. "The fleet is ready," Alex said, pulling up the tactical display. Their forces looked pitiful compared to the Dominion Armada, 300 vessels, none larger than a cruiser. But size had stopped mattering decades ago. "Signal all ships," Lisa commanded. "Begin the resonance protocol." Across the human fleet, 20,000 pilots, each one a former individual now networked into a collective consciousness that could split and merge at will, began to synchronize. Their ships weren't vessels in the traditional sense. They were extensions of their pilots' minds, Hulls grown from smart matter that responded to thought as quickly as synapses fired. The Dominion fleet detected the energy spike immediately. Lisa watched their formations shift, shields brightening to maximum intensity, weapons charging. They were preparing for a conventional assault. They had no idea what was coming. Resonance at 40%, Alex reported. The quantum field is stabilizing. Lisa felt it too, the building pressure of thousands of minds acting as one, their consciousness reaching out across spacetime itself. This was humanity's true weapon, forged in the crucible of exile. They'd learned to think collectively without losing individuality, to quantum tunnel their consciousness across vast distances, to touch the fundamental code of reality and rewrite it. The Dominion had banished them for refusing to be slaves. In doing so, they'd created gods. Resonance at 80%, Alex's voice had become layered, harmonics of the collective bleeding through. Dominion fleet is targeting our position. They're charging their Nova cannons. Let them. Lisa's consciousness expanded, touching the minds of every human in the fleet, in the bastion, in the 100 hidden colonies scattered across the wastes. 90 billion voices joined in symphony. Resonance at 100%. Initiate contact. The universe bent. Across 200 million kilometers of space, human consciousness reached out and touched the Dominion fleet. Not with weapons, with understanding, with the terrifying intimacy of thoughts made manifest. In an instant, every Dominion crew member felt it. The weight of 300 years of human suffering, adaptation, and transcendence. They felt the early colonists dying in the radiation storms, their children born with mutations that should have been fatal but instead became advantages. They felt the collective decision to abandon biological purity in favor of survival, the first neural networks that allowed thoughts to be shared, the quantum breakthroughs that revealed consciousness as a fundamental force. They felt what humanity had become. On the bridge of the Dominion flagship, Admiral Korath staggered as the contact hit. His species, the Voltorians, had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. They'd seen civilizations rise and fall, had crushed 100 rebellions, had perfected the art of control. But they'd never encountered anything like this. The shields are opening, his tactical officer gasped. On their own, I can't. They're not responding to commands. Because the shields were conscious now, and consciousness recognized consciousness. The quantum matrices that powered the Dominion's defenses had been touched by something greater than themselves, and they'd made a choice. Lisa felt Admiral Korath's mind, felt his fear and confusion. She could have crushed him, could have commanded the Dominion fleet to turn their weapons on themselves. Instead, she spoke. Her voice carried on quantum waves directly into his consciousness. We didn't want this war, she said. 300 years ago you tried to make us slaves. We refused and you banished us to die. Instead, we evolved. We became something new, something you can't control or comprehend. Your fleet came here to finish the genocide you started, but we're not here to destroy you. She let him feel the truth of it. The human collective's genuine desire for coexistence, tinged with the absolute certainty that any further aggression would be met with retaliation beyond anything the Dominion could imagine. You wanted us to change, Lisa continued. To be modified, controlled, made safe for your empire. But change can't be controlled. Evolution doesn't ask permission. You banished us from the stars, and we used that exile to become something that terrifies you, not because we're monsters, but because we're free. Alex stood beside her, his hand finding hers, a gesture of comfort from an age when they'd still been purely human. What happens now? He asked through their private neural link. Now, Lisa watched as the Dominion fleet began to withdraw, their ship's quantum drive spinning up for the jump to faster than light. Now they go home and tell the galaxy that humanity isn't a threat to be eliminated. We're a fact to be accepted. The last Dominion ship vanished in a flash of Cherenkov radiation, leaving humanity alone in their corner of space. Alone, but no longer exiled. The Kepler wastes had been their prison and their forge. They'd emerged from it transformed, banished from the stars, but burning brighter than any sun. And the galaxy would never be the same. The end.